How you doing? My name is Anthony Cooper, Enterprise Account Manager with Lucid Bots. Today with me I have Dylan Harris from Homefront Brands.
Yes.
Welcome, Dylan.
Yeah.
So today we wanted to have Dylan on to discuss how the Sherpa drone has impacted their franchises and get some feedback on some jobs that we did with them.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and to share a little bit about and talk about what we've been doing with the bots and the drones and just how it's changed the game for us.
Awesome. Well, I think a good place to start is if you can share a little bit about yourself, how you got involved with Homefront, and some of your background.
Yeah. It's a pretty crazy story. Back in 2018, I was kind of deciding what I wanted to do with my life. I fell in love with photography, videography, and but also needed a job to be able to pay bills. I was wanting to get engaged and get married, and so started my cousin actually moved up to Greensboro, North Carolina, and started a window cleaning business, now Window Hero, and kind of said, "Hey, do you want to come work for me?" So had that opportunity to kind of get in the industry, work for him, and then in 2020 got married, moved to Charlotte, started working for the founder of Window Hero, where he allowed me to kind of go into his business and really help run the business and the day-to-day operations and start to really, what does this look like to scale at a large scale business? So it's awesome to have the experience of working for a brand new location that just started a business to then a very established business. And so it's been a lot of fun. And so kind of from there, it's how Homefront started in 2021. End of 2021, leading into 2022, and Window Hero became the first brand with Homefront Brands, which has many brands in it. So we have Yard Patrol Pros, we have Top Rail Fence, we have the Designery, we also have Temporary Wall Systems, and just launching Roof Scientists. So really excited for Homefront Brands and what we have going in the future, but specifically Window Hero and what we're doing with the drones.
Awesome. So we met summer 2024, and I must say that you were one of my probably the most challenging demo because your knowledge in the industry, especially around window cleaning, was very noticeable. And you hit me with a lot of really challenging questions.
Yep.
But what I feel as though were questions not a lot of people ask. So if you would, can you explain a little bit your background in window cleaning specifically and some of the apprehensions you had initially with the drone and how we approach window cleaning?
Yeah. So, started cleaning windows in 2018, and what's really cool with the founder and Tyler is he cleaned windows traditionally. So that's with a mop, a squeegee, then with new technology, the water-fed pole systems coming into play using pure water. And so I had a really great start in just cleaning windows traditionally, getting up on the glass, cleaning by hand, had a lot of experience going to different trainings and different things and learning from people who'd been doing this for 12, 13 years. And so, getting on the glass, using a mop traditionally is kind of how for years everyone has cleaned windows. And even when you're thinking high-rise, mid-rise, office buildings, it's always been, we use a mop, we use a squeegee. And the big reason for that is the glass needs to be scrubbed. The dirt, the grime, the things that need to be on there need to be scrubbed off and need to be squeegeed off. You see all these old commercials or just the old tales of using newspaper and vinegar, or now it's Windex, and I can't stand Windex, but right. As being a window cleaner. But really, when you're doing this process of cleaning the glass, getting that soap in that water, running the squeegee over the glass, what you're able to do now is leave a streak-free window. And same thing with water fed, using the bristles to agitate the glass to then rinse and allow it to dry spot free. So whenever several years ago I first heard about the drones, I was skeptical from the get-go.
Yeah.
Of there's no way a drone can clean a window the same way I can with a mop and a squeegee or with a water-fed pole. And so when first hearing about them several years ago, I was super skeptical. And then when we kind of started venturing into this, I was even more skeptical, just because, we value with Window Hero and really anyone that's in the window cleaning game value the quality of cleaning of the glass. And so that's something that's really important. We're not there just to put water on the window and say it's clean. We actually want a glass that's clean. There's also a lot of health benefits to glass. So what people don't realize is when it rains, the reason it spots up and those minerals get on there is because there's minerals and different things in that water. And if it just sits there over time, or a screen is on the window and it sits there over time, what happens is those minerals stick to that glass and actually creates hard water. So if you live in areas like Texas, on the coast where there's a lot of salt, if someone's not getting that glass cleaned over time, you're actually gonna have to restore that glass with the restoration process.
Yeah.
And so cleaning a window is not just for beautification. It's actually to keep the window clean, to keep it healthy, or now it's a lot more of an expensive process to actually keep that glass clear and clean so you can look out and see what's out there. If you go out west, there's beautiful sights outside of your windows, and you want to be able to see that. So, same thing if you're in the mountains of North Carolina. So it's not just hey, I want it for the view and to have a clean glass. It's actually for the health as well. And so it's something that's an important process.
So you hit on something that I want to circle back on, because we get asked this question a lot. And when we first met, I stole this from you. I've always used the analogy of a dishwasher. A lot of people look at window cleaning and say, well, how are you able to do this without a brush or a squeegee? And I always say, well, do you have a dishwasher? Well, yeah. Okay. Well, there's no brushes or squeegees in that.
Yeah.
You use a specific chemical with jets of water, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I stole from you on some of our first conversations were you said window restoration. And I know on some of the jobs that I've been on with you, you always take an approach of, walking the job and seeing where it fits in, from a quick clean all the way to a window restoration. And there's several, there's a lot of room in between.
Yeah.
Can you kind of dig into that for us?
Yeah. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're here to serve our customers. And so we want to know what the customer's wanting. And so when you know what the customer's needing and wanting, and the problem they have and the solution you can provide, it's going to tell what type of window cleaning process you need to take. So for commercial, especially light commercial, where these drones really are beneficial, most of them are apartment complexes, business buildings, things like that. And so that customer, depending on, I was talking to a franchisee the other day, and up on the top level is actually where their offices are. So he's more concerned about those windows getting really good and detailed than the windows of the tenants, because the tenants aren't going to be as concerned, or the property manager, with those windows as they are the windows where the executives are always going to come in and look out, and those type of things. So when we're looking at a project and we're looking at the windows, we need to know what the customer's wanting before we can really tailor the process that we take. And so when it comes to restoration of glass or cleaning of the glass, speed of clean, or do we need to take more time, it's really going to depend on what that customer's wanting. And that's why it's so important to diagnose what tool to use. So ultimately, at the end of the day, drone's a tool.
Yeah.
All the techniques to clean a window, they're all tools to get to the same end goal. It's just, what does that window need to be able to properly get cleaned based on what the customer's needing?
Yeah, great answer. I always, enjoy doing job site walks with you guys, just because, like you said, it's a tool in the toolbox. It's not a one-size-fit-all application. So being able to do that job site walk to see if it's a good fit before you even bid that job, that way you know kind of where you stand and what your margins you need to make.
Well, you want to be clear with the customer.
100%.
If you oversell them saying, we're going to use the drone every window, they're sitting there watching you use the drone, but yet you're using another technique, or vice versa.
Yeah.
What happens is now that customer starts questioning, are they doing the right thing? Are my windows going to look clean? So now they're asking you a ton more questions and not confident in the work that you as the window cleaner providing.
Yeah, yeah. Good point. So we partnered up and did a job in Somerville, South Carolina. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Can you talk a little bit about how that job was done the previous year?
Yeah, so this job was a repeat customer, and the year prior, they used boom lifts and water fed poles. So on the building, there's these brick kind of frames around the glass. So there's a top section that's the top floor that's straight glass. you have your brick that's a frame, and there's a ledge. And so to be able to get to the bottom portion of that glass, you had to kind of be up on the glass almost. So what they did is they used boom lifts and water-fed poles to be able to clean that top section. Well, with shrubs, with trees, with pedestrians, that process took very long to do. Now, windows were clean. They looked good for the customer. They did a really good job. But the process to get it done was very taxing on the employees, was very taxing on the building and the people going in and out, along with it just took a long time. So the profit in which you can make on that job was a lot less. I mean, I think took a week and a half almost, some days staying past 5 o'clock to be able to try to get that project done, to be able to accomplish it.
Yeah. I can remember I can remember somebody telling me that how it was done previous were employees on lifts. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, if you're on a lift, you're right at the glass.
Yeah.
I was amazed to find out that it was actually guys on lifts and they're extending with water-fed poles.
Yep.
Just because of the landscaping.
Yeah.
Because how intricate the landscaping was. They had to, they couldn't get close.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting point that I wouldn't have thought about. Just my brain always goes to, oh, well, if you're on a lift, you could go right to the glass, which wasn't the case in this one.
Well, and the crazy thing, too, is there's this overhang on the building, metal overhang. And so even if rappelling was an option, it would have not been possible to rappel because of that overhang. And so really prior to the tool of the drone, using the lift and doing that technique was the best way to accomplish that job.
Yeah. So fast forwarding to this year, we partnered up, went out, and we're able to do this same job for the first time, having a perspective of drone versus traditional means. What's your feedback on how the drone performed versus last year?
I would say it performed very similar. And so something too, when I first were introduced to drones and you said, hey, you don't need agitation. And I argued with you. I said, no, you do need agitation. And what I've come to realize is that the pressure of the water at the end of the day is that agitation.
Yeah.
And so when we completed that job, the same techniques you use using water-fed pole by applying agitation on the glass. And on commercial jobs, there's the metal bars and different things that you have to rinse extra good, even if you're using water-fed pole or a drone, because if not, there's going to be drips. And so we had some of those same problems, and it wasn't a problem because we're using the drone. It's just the nature of a commercial glass and those style of windows. And so it was really cool to see how using both techniques, you're getting the same result of really clean glass. And even, I wasn't there at the job last year, but to see the difference in photos and even conversations with the guys that were there of, holy cow, it looks just as clean, if not even cleaner.
Yeah.
Because we were able to get even more solution, more agitation on that glass.
Yeah. So I want to talk about some of the details of that job that I remember. So one of the key takeaways that I had was we essentially did it twice. And that was just not really, thinking about all the variables as far as sunrise and sunset.
Yep.
So, very important when cleaning glass, and this was a learning experience for myself. Me looking at it from a drone pilot's mind, saying, let's start where we have the least traffic, and then time our cleaning of the building with the flow of traffic going in and out of the building. What we quickly realized is we started on the wrong side of the building based off of what the sun wanted to do, and essentially needed to come back on the second day and redo the whole building.
Yeah.
Can you shed some light on what your takeaways were? Because you were very influential in saying, okay, let's plan this a little bit different tomorrow. Yeah. This is where we need to start, and this is where we need to end. So can you talk about some of the challenges from your perspective that we saw?
Yeah, I mean, that job in theory is a cakewalk.
Yeah.
With the drone, simply because it's a lot of glass and it's simply just getting it up in the air and washing it, and a couple trees we needed to navigate around. Yeah. But at the end of the day, glass is glass, no matter how you're cleaning it. And so the sun was coming up on one side of the building and heated up that glass, which meant the glass reacted different to the water, into the solution, into the drying process than if it's cooler.
Yeah.
And so, when we first started, I completely was with you of like, yeah, let's think about pedestrians, let's think about traffic. And then the more and I started looking at the way the window was being cleaned in the end product, knowing traditionally how you clean glass, I was like, we need to pivot. We need to change the way we're thinking about this. And for me, just getting into the draw on it too was like, okay, we're cleaning the glass the same way we would with water pole, just a different tool, same processes, same techniques. So let's use the same thing of where would I start? And so we kind of pivoted and said, let's start on the front of the building, even though pedestrians are going to be coming in the morning and we're in the morning on the front of the building. It made more sense for the quality of the clean.
Yeah.
And so as much as it's important for safety, for the ease of the job, for pedestrians coming in and out, we also are there to clean the windows at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so when I thought about it, I said, we need to focus on getting the glass clean and moving around this project based on that, not so much as to, a person who's in a drone saying, all right, safety, pedestrians, flow, moving of equipment, because sometimes you got to play with the sun, you got to play with where's, the weather, the wind. We battled the wind a lot, and had to make decisions on where we were going to clean based on that. So all those factors did have a play into how I thought about the job and how we thought about it. But at the end of the day, you're there to clean the glass.
Yeah.
And so you have to think about the project in that way.
Yeah, I think, one of the key takeaways in being able to pivot, not only being able to pivot, but we had a team of guys out there helping us and getting everybody on the same page. So essentially, for the people that don't know, we were able to clean half the building on the first day. We then experienced some pretty high winds due to the location we were in, and we had to call it. We were getting 30-mile-an-hour gusts, so we made the call to come back the next day early. But what was really nice about this building is it really had what I would call defined start and stop points. We're able to dial in how quickly and efficiently, by still having a quality result, clean a specific area. So we took a very systematic approach of, we know we can do this much on this side in a flight using our battery runtime, move to this. And it was like a well-oiled machine. And then what we did is taking the approach of pedestrian control and traffic control by setting up cones, having a safe working area, and actually setting up points to where the inflow of traffic and people, we can stop them, land the drone, allow them to pass, take back off, get a good chunk of the building done. And I pretty much think that we were past the main entrance before everybody got there for the day. And it wasn't a problem for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I mean, we got done with that portion pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then, those who were coming in early, it was funny. Some people were loving it and taking photos and pictures.
It's like spectator
and then
sport.
you had the occasional person that would be like, really? You're asking me to go in the side entrance? And you're like, yeah, I am. Sorry. But it was really cool to see in which because we were able to systematically think about the job, we were able to then move a lot faster and smoother. And so, we did get that block done. And then it was after that, it was just cakewalk because we weren't having to deal with, pedestrians as much. And so it is things you have to think about. But at the same time, if you think about them in a very systematic operations way, you're not all over the place.
Yeah.
And we were able to move pretty quick, but yet keep everybody safe and moving through. And I think a lot of people got some photos and had fun getting to see it.
So I love some of the details about this particular job, because what was interesting to me is, we essentially on the second day did everything that we did the first day again. So we ended up with starting time of around 7:30 the second day and a finish time right around 2:45, 3 o'clock. So all in, we'll say it was a day and a half worth of cleaning actually with the drone. One of the things also, because you happen to be standing there, I say this all the time, and I think because I'm in a sales role, they think it's just me being the salesman. I always say one of the things that you can't quantify with the drone is just the attention that it attracts. And to date, I have never been on a job with one of my partners that I work with where somebody doesn't come up and say, "Hey, that's cool. Can you do my building?"
Yeah.
That happened again on this job.
Yep.
Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, I mean, we were standing there cleaning, and all of a sudden we saw someone kind of looking at it and then starting to walk over. And you said to me, "Hey, I guarantee you he's coming over to ask." And at first I was like, probably just a pedestrian, wanting to see it. And the more he kind of started approaching, I was like, I think there might be something more to this. And it was across the road was 2 hotels, and he's a maintenance guy on those hotels. And for him, he thinks about, how do I maintain this building?
Yeah.
And sees this tool that makes it easier, quicker, more efficient, and potentially cost savings to be able to get the project done.
Yeah.
And comes over and wants to have an interaction. So I think with you, every job I've been on, there's been another opportunity given.
Absolutely.
Just by that thing being in the air. And
Yeah.
you always say it's your best marketing tool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things I thought was very interesting about that area, and I get this question a lot. A lot of people will come and say, well, what's a good cleaning job for a drone? And I feel like I give a detailed but vague enough description so that way I'm not making it too complex. So usually I say, I like to focus on structures 10 stories or under, in industrial parks, hotels, things like that. And it seems to, it just doesn't resonate like I want it to. But one of the things I found very interesting about this specific area is the amount of buildings in close proximity to that job site that were, let's say, sub 6 stories, that in my opinion were good drone jobs. What do you think when you're driving around is a good drone cleaning job, for in your opinion?
Yeah, very similar to what you talked about. It's jobs where there's a lot of glass. Jobs where it just is a little more difficult traditionally. So either you have to repel due to any type of shrubbery or anything, or it's a little taller for water fed poles. So for those who haven't used a water fed pole, once you get above about 4 stories, no matter what brand, and I've cleaned with top brands, ABC Window Cleaning Supply, Zero Poles, Unger, some of the top brands that are out there, Tucker Poles, and no matter what, they're going to bend and flex at some point and be a little more difficult to actually do that cleaning process. And so when you get above that 4th story, it becomes a little more time consuming, a little more strain on the employee that's cleaning the glass. And so they're more tired, whereas a drone, the only tired it gets is because the battery's drained.
Yeah.
And we got other batteries sitting there ready to go.
Yeah.
And so the efficiency in which you're able now to clean the glass is a lot faster.
Yeah.
And so when you're thinking about a building, from that 4th story to 6 stories, I'm looking for several things. I'm looking for are the windows, what style of windows, are there balconies, and those type of in Somerville, it was straight glass at the top.
Yeah.
And so we were literally just cleaning everything. There was no turning off, the soap or to get to the next window. I mean, it was just straight clean. And so we were able to take a job that previously took a week and a half, now down to 2 days.
Yeah.
And really, it was a day and a half of
Right.
work. Because once we got done with the top section, the guys traditionally could go behind and clean with a water-fed pole the areas that need a water-fed pole. So for those skeptics and those people out there, we're not using the drone every piece of that glass because it doesn't make the most sense.
Yeah.
And so when I'm approaching a job site, I'm looking at what is drone clean, what is water-fed pole clean, and what is traditional by mop and squeegee clean.
Yeah.
So that we can be the most efficient, we can get the glass cleaned properly, and then be able to make that customer happy. And so one of the things too is we're talking about pedestrians and that style of job. We were only there for a day and a half. And so the workers and people working there didn't have to deal with us being there for a long period of time. So when you're thinking of business parks and those type of buildings, for a property manager to know that someone can come clean my building in less time and not be a hindrance to the people working in the building and the companies that are there, that's a game changer.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of good nuggets there. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that it wasn't just drone cleaning at this specific job. We still utilize traditional means of cleaning, but we utilize traditional means of cleaning in an efficient and safe manner. The team that was doing the water-fed pole cleaning talked a lot with us,
Yeah.
and we got a really rock solid game plan of how they pretty much just followed us. We did a section and we got complete, and then they came back in and did the lower levels, and then we just kind of reset all the equipment, moved around pretty easily. So again, this isn't a one size fits all application. It's just another tool in the toolbox just to streamline, make it safer and more efficient.
Yep.
What feedback, if any, did you get from either the team that was in Somerville and or the property manager from the job after the drone cleaning?
We didn't get any negative feedback. What's really cool is we have a lunch and learn coming up in January with that property manager.
Awesome.
And so all of the properties that are in the area and surrounding areas are now going to have the opportunity to learn the tools and the things that we use to be able to clean their properties.
Yeah.
And so because we were there for a short amount of time, because the windows were cleaned properly, because we communicated well, that customer says, wait, that's what I'm looking for. And so they're now giving us the opportunity to go and bid more and to go after more of their properties. And they're a pretty major player in the property management space. And so it's a great opportunity for us because of the tools and the efficiency we had. It created those opportunities. Yeah, we won the bid, the job the year prior, so we did a good job the first time.
Right.
But they saw how efficient we were, which said, wait, now this is a game changer in which for us to clean all the properties that we have.
How do you feel the drone will change the future of how facade and window cleaning is currently being done?
It's going to change it in a major way. With all the AI, the robots and everything, you have some people who are not wanting that world to happen. You have some that are on the complete opposite side of let's allow it, right? I'm kind of in the middle of, these things are great tools and great resources for us. And so when you're thinking as a business owner, at the end of the day, you're there to make money. No matter what business you own, what you do, you're there to make money.
Yeah.
And so how can you get a job done more efficient? How can you be safer? How can you make sure the job is done in a quality way? And so for facade and window cleaning, we're able to go after jobs we never could. We're able to tackle difficult jobs that in the past would have taken scaffolding and lots of money. So think about government.
Yeah.
They're constantly trying to be cost conscious and save money. And so jobs that probably would be a $90,000 job, but not a ton of profit on, we can now do for a lot less because we're able to be more efficient. We're able to get that job done quicker and be safer on buildings. So historical buildings that weren't designed. So on this job, which is really cool, is the architects were actually out there.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to them and they were like, we design our buildings based on repel. So they are limited to the design aspects that they can do because they have to think about the cleaning of the building. And so when they saw us using the drone, they said, wait, we can design our buildings however we want, knowing that someone can come clean these buildings with a drone, and I don't have to think about rappel or any type of rope descent system.
Yeah.
And so it really opened my brain to, this is a game changer in which people can design buildings.
Yeah.
People can design what they want them to look like, but then also the efficiency in which we can clean. It's a complete game changer, and it changes the market. It changes who you can hire. It changes just so much about what we do every single day.
Yeah. So 2 nuggets that you hit on that I want to circle back on is the benefits of drone cleaning in the future. One thing that I have noticed with Window Hero is a lot of the franchisees are really dialed into previous customers, and they really have a pulse on making those relationships and getting that repeat business. That's one thing that I've always felt as though the drone excels at, is that repeat business or subscription-based servicing.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Window Hero has always been about the customer first. I joke a lot saying we're like the Chick-fil-A of window cleaning. And so in the sense of if you go to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A and the line is long, who are you probably picking? Chick-fil-A.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so kind of that same mindset I have and we have as a brand is we want to care for our customers first. And what that means sometimes is going the extra mile or communicating a little bit different, but also creating a customer that's loyal. So we're not having to constantly go find new customers. We're able to service these customers in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Window cleaning, pressure washing, if they have solar panels, gutter cleaning. We're able to do all these different things, building wash, for them, that they only now have to contact one person.
Yeah.
And with the drone, it now creates even more, because what happens now is we can actually do the job for a little bit less, and now they can have the building cleaned more often.
Yeah.
And so now their tenants are happier. The building is cleaner to the public. So think about big cities where people are driving and they're wanting the building's facades to look really nice as you're driving through the town, so it doesn't look dirty. Well, now we're able to come out more often at a little bit of a less price to be more efficient utilizing the drones. And now this customer is constantly having you back out because of that. And so that's always been our focus, but with the drone, we're able to do that even more and a larger scale with these buildings. On the coast, the salt just eats away at things. So if we can constantly be rinsing those buildings down, it's just another way we can service our customers.
Dylan, one of the other things I want to talk about is our first job was Maury County Courthouse. Something that's going to be burned into my brain probably for the rest of my life. Can you shed some light on the job, the location, and how we approached it?
Yeah, and that one's burned in my memory as well for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, that job was something different than I think probably you guys have ever faced, that we've ever faced. And so it was an old courthouse in the center of a small town, where literally when I showed up to the small town, called the franchisee, "Hey, where are you? We're here, we're ready to get going." And he was like, "Hey, I'm on the way." And all of a sudden this lady comes up and she's like, "Hey, are you the drone guys?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're here." And she goes, "Awesome. Well, I'm going over to the Puckett's to eat breakfast. You want to join me?" We'll come find out that was like the mayor, or like the top person in the county. And so we went and like ate breakfast. She bought our breakfast, and that's kind of how the day started.
I remember.
And that job was just different because in the center was a steeple that it was a clock tower that went really high up. And so using traditional methods of house cleaning, you would have had to get up on the scaffolding or build a scaffolding or a 90 to 100 foot boom lift to be able to get up there,
right?
Which would have caused a ton of disturbances amongst the court square, because this is where businesses were. It wasn't that small town that's not thriving. Like, there were coffee shops, there were bars, restaurants, there were businesses. I mean, just booming downtown. And so it was a very complex job that previously cost a lot of money. And so we were able to come in for a third of the price and still make money as a business, but be a lot more efficient.
Yeah.
And to be able to get the job done a lot safer, because at the same time, they were still operating in the courthouse. This is an operating courthouse. So they are having, trials and different things going on while we're doing this. And so it just created a lot of different challenges. But it was also a very, I would say, sometimes they say, start easy and kind of build up. We just started with the hardest one.
Yeah, definitely. There were some teachable moments for me there. First one, just to kind of reflect, I remember you sent me over the Google pin, and I looked at it from street view, and I'm like, it's not that high.
Yeah.
I could take off from the ground. And I think that was my inner brain and me not liking heights, thinking, okay, I'm not getting on that roof. I remember getting there Sunday, looking at it from town square, there's nobody around, and said, we're going to need to get on that roof.
Yep.
And I wasn't happy about it. But what was funny is we were really challenged with, okay, how are we going to get the hose up there? And I think we used a carabiner and some paracord, got up on the roof, threw it off the side, and were able to pull the hose up onto the roof, get enough working hose on the roof to get to the top of the steeple, take the drone off, land on the roof, connect it, and start cleaning. And it was funny because when we finally got everything set up, this is after meeting the mayor, one of the takeaways were on Sunday, this looked like a ghost town. Monday, it was like a mini New York City. I did not expect, for the size of this town, how many people were going to drive through this square. Another key takeaway is once we were able to get everything set up, actually take off and do some cleaning, we had a thunderstorm roll in.
Yes. Yes.
So can you kind of walk through in your memory of some of the other challenges we faced and kind of how we adapted to that on the fly?
Yeah, I mean, we faced several challenges. Even there were other parts of the building that need to be cleaned, and having the right team and the right people in place to do those things is important, along with understanding the scope of everything. So storms and all those types of things. And what's so important about jobs like that is you have to be willing to pivot. And you have to be willing to communicate and work together, because we all have different skill sets in which we can, bring wisdom into a situation. And so we were able to work together and say, all right, here's how we tackle this job. Here's the game plan. Here's how we're going to pivot. And I came that first day not really dressed to work. I came dressed to talk to a mayor, potentially news stations that came up. I was prepared to fly my own drone to get some footage and different things. And I had to step in and start working. So
You
now,
got to work pretty quick.
So now I have a pair of pants that were nice that no longer are nice because they have some solution on them. But it really just showed how important it is to go to a job site and not say, this is how we're going to do it and this is the only way.
Yeah.
You have to approach a job site being willing to pivot your plan based on the circumstances and what happens. And so we had
100%.
several of those with the storm, the traffic, just judges getting angry because we were out there and it was affecting their processes. And so it was just a lot of different things that we had to be willing to pivot and be okay with.
Yeah. I will say that one of the other things that was a takeaway in speaking to working as a team, one of the I'll say non-negotiables of cleaning that building that I remember were a lot of the hornet's nests or mud dauber nests and the very unique features of this building. They're kind of like in the cracks and crevices, like in between these bricks. And we had to switch nozzles several different times. We went from soft wash to higher pressure. We used a rifle nozzle. We used an X nozzle. We switched around. But I can remember just through perseverance, we were able to go through and get all those, cleaned out and knocked off.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on being able to, get some of those finer details? Like traditionally, how do you think that could have been done?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally we would have boom lift or scaffolding to be able to get up there with pressure. Especially on the steeple part, it would have been very difficult to do. The lower parts would have been a little bit easier, but there are also these big trees that have grown up and around it.
Yeah.
And so by using the drone plus traditional methods of using shooter tips and different things, we were able together to accomplish that job.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of said it with the window cleaning, same thing with pressure washing. It's a tool in the tool belt.
Yeah.
And so depending on what the job needs and where it needs, so the top of that steeple was a white facade, it needed just straight solution on that thing.
Yeah.
And the drone was able to really apply that solution into a phenomenal job, while as the lower parts really needed that, detailed wand pressure washer, someone in their hand. And so by using both tools to combine to complete that job, we were able to get done efficiently. And then those upper parts, that drone was able to, with the more pressure, was really cool is we hooked it up to our pressure washer and we were able to get the pressure we needed to be able to get those areas.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, like I said, that's always going to be a job that's burnt into my brain. There was a lot of learning experiences from that.
And then travels home.
Oh yeah.
So me and my boss David, we were leaving the job site early to travel back. It was a quick trip for us, and we get to the airport, and all of a sudden we find out the news is we're going to potentially be on the news, and we're sitting there at the airport, eating some food, and all of a sudden we see like 5 o'clock, and we're sitting there going crazy, and everybody around us is like, "What's going on?"
Right.
Well, and then all of a sudden our flight gets delayed, our flight gets canceled.
Right.
So we have to find a hotel that night, and then finally the next day, we get back home. So overall, that trip has burned my memory, not only because of the drone cleaning, but just the travels in which we had to. It was a fun one.
Absolutely. So thank you. One of the last things I want to touch on, you mentioned hiring process or hiring. How do you feel as though the drone to the future will affect how franchisees are able to hire new employees?
Yeah. in general, the window cleaning, pressure washing is not a glamorous job. It's you're out in the heat or the cold, you know, cleaning windows and doing things. Not saying it's not an important job, but it's just not always the most glamorous.
Right.
And now with drones and, you know, with the lava bot and different things, you know, it's cool.
Yeah.
There's tech to it, right? And so you're able to attract people who want to do those things, who want to go after those things, and then employee retention. So somebody who may want to advance their career. So
Right.
for me, you know, when I first got into it, I didn't get into it to be a professional window cleaner forever. I got into it as an opportunity to help grow a business and potentially move up in a company, and gain skills and knowledge. Maybe it's to a different company or something like that. And so, what this does is gives people upward trajectory within a company to be able to maybe start cleaning windows, but then go get trained. So our franchisees right now, they're asking their employees who wants to fly a drone, and they're paying for them to go get licensed and trained. So now they can actually make more money, provide more for their family. So one of our local locations, one of their guys who's been with them for a long time, he's going to be able to make more money and be able to put more on his resume for the future, just based off of him now being licensed, and he's going to have this skill set on his resume that's a game changer. And so when it comes to franchisees hiring, you're able to hire someone who's more high caliber or someone who wants that upward trajectory, and you're able to provide that for them instead of just, hey, you're going to be cleaning windows if this is what you do for the rest of your life. And so there's always more opportunity out there for those employees.
Awesome. I that was perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, I want to thank you, you know, for coming on here.
Yeah.
I was really excited about this because, you know, I learned a lot from you this year. I have to give you a lot of credit. The recommendations that you've made, even down to the nozzle we use with the drone, I got to give you credit for that. That's been a game changer for us. So, you know, thank you for making the time, coming on here, shedding some light on your opinions of the drone and how it's helped.
Yeah, we're excited to see what the future brings and partnership and just how we can conquer the world with cleaning windows with drones.
I'm excited too. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.